Hi folks, welcome back to Stacey Can. Today I am making a roasted red pepper spread. And before I go into everything, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button below, it does help. The purpose of the spread is, well, you can put it on pretty much anything, but it's also a really good substitute if you want it to be for bruschetta, I think is how it's pronounced. I butchered it. We say a lot in America, we say bruschetta, and that is not the way to pronounce it, but you can put it on gosh, you can put it on anything, burgers, you got as a topper for anything. It's a great condiment. Also, you could eat it with a spoon out of the jar. It's pretty versatile in that regard. So the ingredients that you need 6 pounds of red bell peppers. I know it sounds like a lot, but this is approximately, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 peppers is what came up to this. So you can use this. I'm making it now. I found a pretty good deal on the bell peppers, so I went ahead and got them, and because I think this will be a great spread to have prior to summer. So that's why I'm doing it now. But you can also do this and if you grow your own peppers, this would be a great thing to make in the summer after your harvest comes in. So you're also going to need a pound of Italian plum tomatoes. Those are just Roma tomatoes. The plum tomatoes are the ones that are shaped oblong like this. The round ones are slicing tomatoes. Plum tomatoes, why you want to use it is they have less seeds and they have a lot more flesh, etc., and less water content. So these are what you make paste through. It's going to help thicken up the red pepper spread as we go. You're going to need 2 large cloves of garlic. So if you have to kind of substitute it with some smaller ones, that would be okay. But the reason why you need large cloves is because we're going to be roasting them in a broiler or on a grill. So you do want bigger the better. Keep that in mind. We need a small white onion. You're going to need 1/2 cup of red wine vinegar. You need about 2 tablespoons of finely chopped basil, a tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. That's pretty much it as far as ingredients go. So, the peppers have great flavor on their own. The other thing you will need as far as tools go, we're gonna need our ladle, our funnel, our chopstick. We will be bubbling, our Headspace tool. I do have my lids in a saucepan, so we will need the lid lifter, the Headspace tool, and your jar lifter. So make sure you have all of those items, those basic tools. You're also going to need a really big bowl or a couple of smaller bowls after we're done roasting everything, and some saran wrap to put over the bowls. Now they say you can use paper sacks, put all this in paper sacks and poke holes in it. Sure, you can do that, but we're going to blister the skins of the peppers and the tomatoes, and I have just found, for me, it's easier to after blistering, to put it in a bowl and cover with saran wrap. So there's a couple of options there. I've never done the paper sack version, so it's up to you if you want to do that. We're also, here's my giant Costco saran wrap. Don't be jealous. And then you do need a blender or a food processor, which I have here. We also need, I've got my jars heating up in the canner over here as well. So with all of that, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, one other thing that you will need is some cookie sheets or something to put because I'm putting mine in the oven, my peppers in the oven, I'm using cookie sheets for it. So, you need these possibly as well, unless you do yours on a grill. And if you're going to grill them, you want to grill it at 425 degrees. For me, I'm going to broil them in my oven because I don't want to fire up the grill, and I'm going to grill them in the oven and on broil. So I tried to find 2 big cloves of garlic in that flour I had, but it ended up being, they're all really small pieces that are kind of clumped together. So I'm just going to go ahead and roast these 3 clumps of garlic and measure it out to be 2 big cloves when it's done roasting. And I do have the peppers and the tomatoes on these individual trays where they're spaced apart so they can evenly roast. have the peppers, the onion, and the garlic, and the tomatoes in the oven now, and I'm gonna go ahead and keep an eye on it. We're gonna roast them about 15 to 20 minutes and turn them as they blister. So I'm gonna keep an eye on them carefully to make sure they don't overcook. So the tomatoes have split already, which is great. And I'm just gonna I'm gonna rotate these. These tomatoes have definitely are splitting, and they are starting to blister too. So I'll give these a turn. Gone ahead and pulled the tomatoes because they're peeling off quite nicely and they're softening, and I'm gonna go ahead and cover it with some saran wrap and let them cool. And while I'm waiting for the peppers and onions and garlic to roast, I'm gonna go ahead and chop up some of the basil. We need 2 tablespoons. And I'm just kind of rolling it all up. I think makes it easier to sort of chop it up if you can kind of roll it a little bit, but you chop however you want. We're done roasting the peppers, and look at this. This is kind of what you're looking for. You're looking for some black marks on it, blistering. They've softened. Some of them have burst. There's some liquid here. So we're gonna go ahead and, oh yeah, see when you grab a hold of it and it kind of squishes together and wrinkles, that's a good sign. These look great. That's exactly what you want. So I'm moving these into my big bowl over here, and we're gonna sweat them out. I'm also gonna take some, saran wrap and cover this very well. We're just gonna let the peppers cool, and I'm gonna do the same thing with the onions and the garlic. So we'll let these cool. You're supposed to be looking for some black marks on the onions, on the skin and such, and there is a little darkened up here, but basically you're just getting it to kind of soften up. Same thing with the garlic. So I'm just setting these off to the side to let them cool before we peel them and start handling them. While I'm letting all of the peppers and the tomatoes here kind of sweat a little bit more, I'm gonna go ahead and start cutting up the onion and the garlic. It's kind of slippery, so just be careful as you chop it, because it's soft and it has roasted. I'm gonna see what I can do with the garlic here. We're gonna have to just kind of cutting the ends off, and I'm just gonna sort of see if I can squeeze it out. Nope, can't squeeze it out, but I can peel it, so I'm gonna do that. This is probably the equivalent to 2 cloves of garlic, roasted garlic. So we're gonna go ahead and finely chop this. So we've got these tomatoes have cooled quite a bit, as have the peppers. We're gonna go ahead and peel the plastic off and peel off the skin here as well. It just pulls right off. Look how nice that is. After you get them peeled, go ahead and cut it open, and you want to scoop out all of the seeds just best you can. And you'll probably have to quarter it a little bit too. So see, I'm just peeling this little section off and throwing it into the food processor, because when we're done here, there you go, we'll transfer everything over into the food processor, and see how it just kind of easily breaks apart. And you just want to scrape out the seeds as much as possible. Now we're going to gently pull the peppers apart and take the seeds out. They just come right open, which is kind of nice. So just be careful as you're pulling the seeds out. You can literally tear it apart and throw this into the food processor as well. We're gonna work in batches here. So I've got probably 3 peppers in here, and all 3 of the tomatoes. And we're just gonna puree this up. And we are pureeing until smooth. This looks pretty smooth. Oh my gosh, it smells good. And then just transfer it into your stock pot. I've got the puree all mixed together, and it's nice and smooth. You can see how smooth it is and kind of runny. This is perfect consistency. Smells amazing. So we're gonna go ahead and add the 2 cloves of garlic. the the fourth of a cup of onion, and this was the roasted onion, as was the garlic, roasted garlic and onion. The half a cup of red wine vinegar, the 2 tablespoons of finely chopped basil, tablespoon of sugar, and a teaspoon of salt. Set the heat up to high, kind of a medium high. We're gonna get this to a boil. And you wanna make sure that you're stirring frequently just to make sure it doesn't stick. So it's just starting to boil, so I'm gonna reduce the heat a little bit to boil it gently. And we wanna do that until the mixture reduces a little bit and mounds on a spoon, which is gonna take about 20 minutes. 20-minute timer has gone off and we've got a nice mound on the spoon. Got my jars heating up in the canner. We're gonna go ahead and take the jar out. Remember, we gotta, you wanna make sure that it's about 180 degrees in the canner, because you don't wanna put a hot item into a cold jar. It'll shock the jar, and it'll mess with the processing of the foods too. And we're filling this to a 1/2 inch headspace. We're gonna bubbling, we're just going around the edges with the chopstick here to remove any air bubbles that get trapped. That does help with the sealing. And then we're gonna use our Headspace tool, measuring out 1/2 inch headspace, which is where we're at here. I'm using a paper towel, and I'm just using the lid water to, as I'm heating the lids, I'm just using the lid water to clean the rims. Got my headspace, my lid lifter, lifting out the heated lids. And your ring, just remember fingertip tight. This is hot potato, so be careful. And then we're gonna lift it up and over and into the canner. Remember, do not tip or tilt, just straight up and over. Got all the jars in the canner, so I'm gonna go ahead and put the lid on and turn it all the way up to high. And when it comes to a rolling boil, I will set the timer. Got a rolling boil going, so I set the timer for 10 minutes for my altitude, which is a 0 to 1,000 feet. And more information on altitude is over here on the side, as well as down below in the show notes. The 10-minute timer for my altitude has gone off, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut the heat. And then I'm gonna carefully remove the lid, opening it away from my face so we don't get a facial we don't want with all that steam. Now I'm gonna set the timer for another 5 minutes to let the food settle into the jar with the lid off of the canner. This helps with the sealing process. The 5-minute timer has gone off, so we're gonna go ahead and take the jars out of the canner. And look at that color. And this is roasted red pepper spread. It's very good, very, very good. It does taste like a bruschetta. I say it wrong, sorry. Even though I have my Italian apron on, I am clearly not Italian. But it is very tasty. It almost tastes like a roasted tomato soup, but better. So if you were to put this on a great crusty bread and drizzle with a little bit of balsamic vinegar or little EVOO too, and oh my goodness, your life is gonna be happy. I envy you. It would also be a great topping on top of a burger, or again, another great topping for condiments and such. So that is how we make it. And the recipe is down below. It is from the Ball canning book, which I love. And while you're down there checking it out, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you have any questions, comments, suggestions, feedback, concerns, by all means, please reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can. Oh, also, one side note, you'll notice that there were 9 jars here. The recipe actually said it made about 5. No, this actually made about 9, so keep that in mind too. But, so reach out to me. I'm on Facebook at Stacey Can. You can at me on Instagram and TikTok at Stacey Can. My website is www.staceycancan.com, and my email is info@staceycancan.com. And all the information is in the show notes below. So thanks so much for joining me today, and until next time, happy canning.